Hey, flower friends. It is your friend in flowers and even a little veggies tonight, Lisa Mason Ziegler. And friends, um, we are at the most exciting time of the year, if you ask me. It's like the first week of March, which means we are kicked into high gear here in southeastern Virginia. And I don't know where you are in the season, but it is pretty dadgum exciting. So if we've never met before, my name is Lisa Mason Ziegler, and I'm the owner of the Gardener's Workshop. And I've been a commercial cut flower grower for over 25 years, and I'm on a mission now, and that's to help other people to learn how to grow cut flowers as well as just garden and farm and have success, right? And I do that by sharing what's going on here on my farm, how I do it, what I do it with, and I'd love to share it with you guys. Now, this is a tray of 20 little, these are eggplants. These are actually ornamental eggplants. And so we grow these as a cut, but look, this is like a 5¼ inch tray, y'all. I'm scared I'm going to drip water on my computer. This is 20 plants. Seed starting indoors can be so simple and easy, y'all, when you just have a few tips. So let's talk about what we're going to talk about here tonight. So first off, I want to talk about how I take care of my seedlings. When we were in high production, we would start over 100,000 seedlings a year. I have no greenhouse. Did I ever mention that to y'all? We do that here in this building, which is just like a giant garage. And we do that with grow lights. And so I'm going to talk about how I manage all that and how simple and easy it actually can be. And then I have some great new seed sets, y'all. They have been flying off the shelf because people love them. And I'm going to show them to you guys too. And then tonight, we're actually going to start some of the veggies. I am a realistic vegetable grower for our family. And I'll share with you what I mean by that. And if you have questions that come up, please post them in the comments and I'll do my best to try to answer those. And so, out of the gate, I want to just say, first, let me show you these flower sets. So this is a new introduction this year. I need a paper towel. I did spill water on my tabletop here. These new seed sets are kind of like we put together a group of seeds that just turn out to make a beautiful bouquet. And the first one I want to show you is called Defying Expectations. And y'all look at this. This is one of my favorite color combos, lime green and pink. And so this little seed set includes the gorgeous Benary's lime green zinnia. Look how pretty those are, which they go with everything. And then this is a really cool grass if you've never grown it. It's called green drops. And it's upright when it first emerges from the leaves, but then it drapes. So you can I love getting it early before it actually starts draping. So that's a really fun one. And then of course, the giant bright pink Benary's giant. Look at the petals, y'all. This is the stage I like to cut them in before those florets have opened up. And then y'all look at this Sunday celosia. This is a plume and it's the bright pink. This is like watermelon color. And it just pops it wide open. And then this is really fun to grow. This is amaranth and it's a draping bloom and it is also lime green. And when you put them all together, look at the bouquet you can make. Isn't that fun? So they come to you like this and with a little ribbon and there's a little picture of the bouquet on there. These are just super fun. There's a discount when you buy them in the sets. And I didn't even say this. Down below the video, there's a ribbon of products. So you can check out anything I'm talking about, purchase it, or learn more about it. But you get a discount when you buy them that way. And y'all, you know what I'm thinking? Easter baskets, Mother's Day is coming, y'all. That would be a great one. And then this one we have restocked twice. And that is the red, white, and bloom. Look how pretty that is. First off, I just love this in the back. You'll see up close in a minute. It's like a fireworks going off the back. So this is called the red, white, and bloom. And it has the giant red zinnia. It also has the biggest and showiest Cosmo of all of them. This is Afternoon White. It's got a really big face. Love that one. And Blue Azuratum, he always gets like the underdog. I mean, this is one of our favorite crops, but it's perfect in this set. And then, of course, the Miss Burns lemon basil is what seals the deal. When people smell the bouquet, they can't bear it any longer, y'all. Lemon basil is just the best. And meat explosion grass. This is literally like an explosion over your bouquet. This is the year that we are celebrating the United States 250th birthday. What better way than to grow a garden that you will have bouquets, you can share bouquets, and the set comes to you just like this with a little ribbon with a picture of that bouquet I just showed you with the 5 individual seed packets, and it's $19.95. Both of these are limited editions, and I'm reading here that there's only a couple of these left, so hopefully there's still some there. But this is super fun. This one would be great to have for cookouts and parties. It would just be so great. So I want to talk to you about seedling care. We start most of our seeds in soil blocks, and the seed packets our seed packets tell you exactly everything you need to do to start that seed, whether we recommend you start it indoors or directly out in the garden. And so for warm season seeds, I literally, as a commercial grower for all these years, we don't direct sow anything in the spring and summer. And it's because of a lot of reasons, y'all. It's more work. You use a lot more seeds, and the weed pressure has to be kept under control, and the blooms are later. So there's a lot of reasons why we don't. So I want to show you how I start them. I do soil blocking. And wowza. This tray has been refilled with soil, and it is pretty heavy, y'all. Good grief. All right. So this is a soil blocker. If you've never seen one, we import these from England is where they're actually made. And I am going to, seeing if it's moist enough. Let me turn this so you guys can see down in my tray. So this is what we call soil blocking mix. And it's actually the complete opposite of regular seed starting mix. Regular seed starting mix is made to be light and fluffy so you can put it in a container. The soil is the container with soil blocking. So let me show you how I make them. Let me get my tray. And so the way that we really made this into a great in-home seed starting method is I use trays with no drainage holes, which means you can do it anywhere in your home. So 2 hands on the soil blocker, and you push it down into the moistened blocking mix twice. I feel like I didn't get some. This is a little higher than I normally work, and it's kind of hard, y'all. This is a potato masher. I find that to be the very best tool for striking off the bottom of the blocker as well as mixing. So you place the tool right on the tray, and you just give it a squeeze. And friends, just that quick, we literally made 20 little containers. Look at that. It's pretty dadgum awesome. So I want to show you how I sow the seeds. We're going to sow my tomato seeds. And I told you I was going to tell you my lowdown on vegetables. First off, let me get us set up so you can see me. I've grown a lot of vegetables through the years, and the reality is that we always grow too much. We grow more varieties of tomatoes than we need, and I have just narrowed it down to 2 different varieties that we absolutely adore. And I've grown tons of heirlooms for many, many years, because we actually used to sell vegetables at our members only market here on the farm where we provided it to our members. But it's come down to me to 2 tomatoes. I am a huge fan of Big Beef. Big Beef has been around for a long time. It's super disease resistant, and it literally packs the punch in delicious large tomatoes. So I put my seeds into a seed pan because there's no static electricity in an aluminum seed pan. And so let's fix this so you might be able to see me a little bit better. All right, so tomatoes like to be like right on the seed packet. It actually tells you to sow seeds 1/4 inch deep and cover with soil. Let me show you how I do that with soil blocking. So the seed literally jumped right onto my toothpick because there's no static. And then I just simply push it deep into the block. It goes really quick, and there's the job is done. And put it on, and then you just push it down into deeper. Now, if this was a seed that actually, and y'all, we have to sow all these seeds because these are mine. If I don't finish it tonight, who knows when it'll get done. Now, if we were sowing a seed that said, do not cover with soil, that simply means that you firmly seat the seed on the surface. And for seeds to benefit from the soil they're in, they have to make contact, y'all. I find that a really common problem that people, in talking to them why their seeds didn't germinate, particularly with surface sown, is they'll sprinkle them. They do all kinds of crazy things with them. You have to seat the seed in the soil, but you don't cover it with soil when it says that on the seed packet. The tomatoes that we're sowing are supposed to be covered with soil. So I'm just pushing that tomato seed deep into the block. I can't believe we're getting this job done, y'all. Bobo works here with me on the farm. She's been here for about 15 years. She will be so surprised to learn that I actually did this for her. So back to my favorite tomatoes. So I found that big beefs suit the bill for us for absolutely scrumptious eating, as well as canning, freezing, making stuff. I used to grow a whole bunch of different ones, and I just found that the reality is I'm a flower farmer, or maybe I'm a mom that's got a family that I'm busy. Just having so many different kinds just kind of makes it a little bit more to do. Y'all, can you believe that I actually dumped out exactly how many I needed? So just that quickly, we just sowed 20 tomato seeds, okay? So as I mentioned, if your seed packet said surface sown, you would have just firmly seeded the tomatoes. These guys are going straight in to a seedling heat mat, and they germinate. What does this say? And then I'll tell you what I think. 5 to 7 days. I forecast that they'll be sprouting in probably 3 to 4 days. Just soil blocking just speeds the whole system up just because they get so much oxygen and they're so happy. So I wanted to show you that you can, I didn't show you the soil blocker. This is actually what a clean new soil blocker looks like, y'all. They're actually dark gray now. As I mentioned, we import these from England. And the soil blockers, you can buy everything that I'm showing you tonight. We have them individually. We have them in kits. There's a lot of different ways. You can even buy that little seed pan. These are lab pans. You just won't believe how much quicker you sow seeds when you're not fighting the static electricity of whatever you're sowing from. All right, so a really big step that I find people skip, and particularly with warm season tender annuals, why they just don't have success. And that is by warming the soil up. Warming the soil up is another just a signal to the seed to wake up and break dormancy and sprout, right? And how do you do that? We do it with seedling heat mats. And it has a built-in thermostat. And so most warm season seeds sprout best at 75 to 85 degrees. And we're talking soil temperature. And so you're thinking, my house is like 70 degrees. I should be good, right? No, because you're talking air temperature and we're talking soil temperature. And typically soil temperature, any mass, have you ever been on a beach, cooking alive. You're laying up there on the beach, it's 90 degrees, and you're just dying, overheating, and you decide to walk down and stick your toe in the ocean. And the ocean is so cold. It's exactly that same deal, y'all. So that's why this thermostat actually heats this heat mat 15 to 20 degrees warmer than the air temperature. And that's what gets your seedlings to sprout. So we sow the seeds, literally put the tray directly on the heat mat. And then once we see signs of life from the seeds, sprouting, cracking on 50% or so, we take it off the heat mat. And that's when it goes back to an actual grow light. So heat mats, $39.95. And I will tell you that this investment will save you so many seeds. And it just makes the process, they germinate more quickly, more uniformly, and dampening off, which is a fungus that develops in soil, develops in cool soil, y'all. When you use a seedling heat mat and don't overwater, you probably will not have any more issue. And let me show you what I use to help retain moisture, particularly on those surface sown seeds. Most of the seeds, I won't say all of them, most of the seeds that I sow for flowers are surface sown. It's kind of tough to keep that surface moist. And so we use wide weave burlap. It actually comes in a 3-foot square piece, right? And you can cut it to any size that you want. So let's just say that these were surface sown celosias or something. I would take these in and put them on the seedling heat mat. And some people cut this to fit different size little trays, which is super convenient. I usually keep my piece big because I just lay them out on the big jumbo size heat mat. This retains moisture, but it allows air circulation. And we just find that works really, really well. So burlap comes, in single pack or a 3-pack, I think. And it's just one more way to keep the surface moist in between waterings each morning. So let me show you actually how I water my trays. I don't want to forget to put my tomatoes on the seedling heat mat. So this is a tray of 40. These are Cool Season Hardy Annuals. All their brothers and sisters were actually planted out on the farm today, and these are our leftovers. This is 40 plants on this little, I think this is 8x5. And I'm going to show you how I water soil blocks. Now, what plays a big part in this too is the actual soil that you use for soil blocking. The recipe the ready-made mix and the recipe that we have available to you all the time is for binding soil blocking mix. And when I water, I love using a little gentle pour watering can. And when I pour, I just pour it along the edge, not like directly on the blocks. And these were actually just watered a little while ago, so they probably aren't going to absorb much. And so I put in always a little bit more than I think they're going to need, because I'll wait a few minutes, I'll do some other little task, and I come back and I look, oh, and in fact, they did suck up more water. All the water's gone. So the water's gone. Never leave standing water on the tray. This little espresso watering can is one of my favorites. This is one of the ones that not only is it a watering can that you would love to have sitting out amongst your house plants or where your flower vases are, but we love using this little booger to make that bouquets. My sister uses it as a vase, and it is, how much is this? Oh, $34.95. It's stainless steel, holds 2 cups of water. Absolutely love this little booger. And when you have a gentle pour on a watering can, it helps you to not wash your blocks away, right? All right. Trying to grab my stuff to tell you what the steps are that I follow here. So if you've ever grown seedlings indoors before, you probably, I'm sorry, y'all, my nose from the soil is killing me. That if you've grown anything indoors, houseplants even, you get fungus gnats. Those are the little teeny gnats that fly around. And the only way to take care of that is to prevent them. And so we prevent them by using mosquito bits. This is BT. It's 4 tablespoons to a gallon, I think, on every Wednesday. I fill up my watering can the day before, a big gallon watering can, put this in, let it sit overnight. And the next morning when I'm just doing my regular watering routine, I am actually This will kill any larva that is developing in the wet soil. You would water your house plants with it. You have to treat everything. Then if you have those annoying, look at this is from an outbreak a couple years ago. Look at all those fungus gnats. This is the yellow sticky trap. And so the combination of having the yellow sticky trap and killing the larva and killing the adults that are actually laying the eggs in the soil, you get control. I will tell you this, the best method is to prevent it. Because once you have fungus gnat outbreak, it'll take you weeks. I mean, it is the most annoying thing you have ever experienced. And again, if it's in your home and you have house plants, you have to water everybody with the mosquito bits, or they'll just continue to multiply over there while you're treating your other stuff. So both of these are in the offering, but you can actually buy them together as a set, and I think it's probably like a 5% savings. I mean, friends, the minute we fire up our grow room in January, every Wednesday, the bits are in my watering can long before I ever see a fungus gnat, because that's the point, to not see a fungus gnat, right? All right. So the other question that I'm getting a lot of this time of the year is, what do we feed our our seedlings? And so I, on Mondays, add to my watering can one of two different fertilizers. And actually, one of them is a standard once a week, the Neptune's Harvest. We have used this for over 2 decades now. A tablespoon in a gallon of water. It is a little stinky, but it works fabulous. So it really depends on what your setup is, if this is really reasonable for you. We also use this out in our garden as a soil drench. You can use it for a foliar feed. And you know how you do that when you're a small garden or a home gardener, is you mix up a big gallon watering can that has a sprinkler head on it. You put a tablespoon of this in it, and then you just sprinkle the foliage, y'all. That's all a foliar feed is. Love Neptune's Harvest. It is a great one. We brought on board one that we've been using strictly because it's got a spearmint smell to it, y'all. It kind of, if you get down and real close, you can still smell a little stinkiness. But overall, this is an organic-based fertilizer, and it's called FOOP. Why? Because it's fish poop, y'all. Isn't that great? I just love it. Let me tell you what's in it. Derived from fish excrement, fish proteins, kelp, soy, volcanic ash, some other things. And honestly, when you take a quick sniff, I smell spearmint. This is a great opportunity for people that just can't stand the smell of the other one to do it. And this one also has a light application, and you can use it every time you water. You'll have to gauge whether you really need to do that or not. But FOOP is a good one, and one is not better than the other. I'm a believer that I love using like different kinds of compost, different kinds of fertilizer with different ingredients. They all have their own unique ingredients and opportunities, and they all bring something different to the table. So I love them both. And I tell you something else I love to use, and that is the tea bags. These are compost tea bags, y'all. You can actually, now this doesn't replace a fertilizer, but it puts the biology back into your whatever you're watering with them. And so on Fridays, on Thursday, after I do my watering chores, I fill my watering can up again. Again, it's a gallon. Drop this in, let it steep overnight, and then use it the next morning. Love this. It comes in a 12 pack. And it is, I'm not keeping up with mine. It's $18.95. And of course, don't pitch the compost in the tea bags, y'all. Put them in your soil mix or in your containers or whatever. But this is just one more little piece to help restore the biology that is in your, or you want to put back into your soil. So the other steps, so we've started our seeds, we're putting them on heat to get them to germinate. We're doing some things like the burlap to help enhance that germination so much better, right? And you know how to feed them and you know how to water them. Well, what's the other ingredient or the piece that is just key? And that is a grow light, y'all. Grow lights can be as little and simple or as big and extravagant as you want them to be. Because soil blocks typically take a third less time to grow up into a seedling, we should, like if a seed packet says start 6 weeks before you want to plant it outside. For soil blocks, we'd only start 4 weeks in advance because they just grow quicker. And that's because the blocks get so much oxygen that the roots, it just grows faster. And so our plants don't spend a long time, not weeks and weeks and weeks. What we're looking at here is probably, 2 weeks into grow light before it goes out to be hardened off, but it is key. Look at this. If these little eggplants had not been under grow lights for 16 to 18 hours a day, meaning just natural light that you put them on a windowsill, they'd be tall and lanky. Why? Because they're searching and looking for light. For plants to stay, and these are like 3.5 weeks old. If these had been, for them to stay this stocky and green and healthy, they need that 16 to 18 hours of intense light. And so we use actually a timer, which I have right here. All of our grow lights, in fact, my whole grow room is on a big timer. It's that important. Our lights come on at 6 o'clock in the morning and go off at 10 o'clock at night. And it just makes all the difference in the world. And this is a grounded timer, which sometimes can be hard to find. But grow light, I know for a fact, after being a flower farmer for more than 2 decades, planting healthy seedlings definitely impacts the performance of the plant, how much it produces, its disease and pest resistance. And growing puny seedlings to plant outside, y'all, it's just too easy to grow great ones. And a grow light kind of seals the deal for that, right? Now, how do you know when to move them outside, right? When is it time to start hardening them off? And so I'm looking for, these are kind of perfect because all these were like the brothers and sisters were planted today. I'm looking for 3 to 5 inches. And that's when they get to be about 3 inches, we bump them out to our safe hardening off space to get acclimated. 10 to 14 days for warm season tender annuals before they have to face life out in the garden. They get acclimated to wind, to sun, to the temperatures, to everything that's going on. And so we watch the weather and just to make our plan of when we're going to plant them out. But for warm season tender annuals, 10 to 14 days of hardening off time. My hardening off space, I created it so when I take my plants outside, they are safe from strong winds and direct sun, so I can take them out and leave them. And I think that's one of the most underrated things talked about in gardening is you need to take a minute and create a safe space so that you don't lose your seedlings, forget about them, and that you can actually harden them off greatly because it makes all the difference in the world as to how they perform out in the garden. Now, if you want to learn more about growing cut flowers, seedling care, how to start seeds, my book, The Cut Flower Handbook, the first 2 sections in this book is really about how to set up a cutting garden. Everything from maintenance-free, harvesting, conditioning, how to care for it. But the back 2/3 of the book is about 66 different flowers. And each flower, I tell you seed starting tips, what the seedlings look like, and it'll really has everything that you need. I just wanted to show you the photography in here is inspiring, y'all. This is the table of contents. Look how pretty that is. And of course, we grew all these flowers, right? And when you purchase the book from us, we include a PDF download that is the 6 flowers that there was no room for them in the book. And so I would love to sign one for you, but this will answer every question you have about growing a cut flower garden. Every single question, y'all. And then the other book that I wrote is called Vegetables Love Flowers. Now, this really is not about growing vegetables, y'all. It's about why growing flowers in the presence of vegetables helps them so much. And it's the company that flowers keep. This book really tells you about my gardening philosophy, about how I do it without using pesticides, and just how I've lived with, I have dogs, and that was just a big thing for me to not use any chemicals in my garden. And this book really covers that. It also has some great illustrations in the back to help you understand succession planting more. But this is about how to start a little cutting garden in a vegetable patch, all the steps that you need, and 10 warm and 10 cool flowers to get you started. And would love, and this one comes with a free video book study when you purchase it from us. Now, let's just look at some of the vegetables that I love to grow. And first off, have y'all ever seen this? This is our vegetable planter. This has that red line is your frost date. You move it. There's dates across the top. And you slide it to your last frost date, and it tells you everything, when to start the seed. But you know what it taught me years ago when we first found these? That not only when to start and all, it's packed with so many facts on this little, it's got a warm side, a spring side and a fall side. It taught me what the latest tomato that I could plant out in my garden. And I learned that mid-July is my cutoff. And it just changed a lot. This is, I believe it's like $7, $6.95, y'all. Anybody that wants to grow a vegetable patch, this would be a really big helping hand. So I want to show you my favorite, the tomatoes that I grow. I already told you big beef, but I also, if you've never eaten a sun gold tomato, they're like little sugar pops, y'all. If you're trying to get kids to eat tomatoes, and anybody, we eat tons of these. They are so productive, but we still never have enough. We put them in our lunches for snacks. Sun Gold is just a great favorite. And then there is the big beef. Love big beef for all things. Eating, slicing, sandwiches, canning, all of it. Super disease resistant. And then we also grow a paste tomato, San Marziano. A paste tomato is great for grilling, great for making paste, for making sauces, salsa, all that stuff. And they're just different. They're like a plum tomato, and they just aren't as juicy and liquidy so that you can make thick sauces out of them. And that's all the tomatoes I grow, y'all. I have grown all of them. We used to grow hundreds of tomato plants here. And I've just found those are my good reliables. And then also my favorite cucumber is Market More, y'all. We love my golden retriever loves cucumbers too. He loves tomatoes too. But this is our favorite cucumber when we can get them before he does. And then, everybody grows zucchini, right? Do y'all know about zucchini crab cakes? You have to look that up on the internet. You just substitute the crab meat for shredded zucchini and drain this, really get the water out of it. They are delicious. They are delicious. So we love this one. It's Green Machine. And we love zucchini. If you get them when they're kind of small, you can grill them. And wait till I tell y'all about what we're doing with this. So this is one of the only peppers that I grow. This is Carmen, and she is an Italian sweet pepper. And she's about this tall when she grows. And we love them. This is one of the only peppers I can't eat. Bell peppers. Love this one. Grilling. It's good in everything. But guess what we're doing with them? Suzanne's going to be doing a flower arrangement in multiples of these, topped and gutted. And so we do a bouquet studio on our big shopping show on Fridays at noon. So sometime midsummer, these babies are not only going to be eaten, but 5 of them are going to become like a flower arranging. It's going to be so fun. I'm just hoping we can have them by 4th of July. And then here is the bell pepper. I can't eat them, but my man does. And so this is Olympus. And you just leave it longer on the plant to get red, right? And this, my friends, is a pepper you can eat. It's a chili pepper, but this is our exclusive rooster pepper, which was selected for its cut flower qualities. See how all the foliage is down below the fruit? It is so quick and easy to strip. If you're a flower farmer, this is a cash cow. The stems are useful in a lot of different ways, but it is so different than every other pepper. And Would love for you to have one. We use them green and red. And then what else am I starting right now? Love the gourmet lettuce. Do this in containers. Makes it easy to harvest. I do a container this week, big one. Container next week, big one. And a container the next week, big one. And then I harvest this one first. And when that one's growing back, we're harvesting this one. And it just goes on and on. I mean, once you grow your own leaf lettuce, you will never go back, y'all. And this is my favorite kale. Looks cool. Look at that. Looks like it's got a disease, but it doesn't. That is black magic. And it is scrumptious, y'all, as a kale. So those are like my favorite veggie crops. And speaking of containers, which I grow several very large containers out here on our carport. And the problem that I have is varmints. Getting into them. And so this is the set that I actually use out there. We just, we would plant our beautiful transplants out in these big containers. And then you come the next morning and all the plants are out on the deck because the squirrels have gotten in them, or worse yet, even birds. So we use something called insect netting for a lot of different stuff. Insect netting looks like row cover, but it's nylon. It's much more durable. And it also allows more light to penetrate it. So I'm going to show you how I use insect netting along with a couple of other accessories that we sell to create an insect protected container. This is one of my large containers. And literally, we use a grow through. So these legs come off and attach to this grow through, and we just install it on the container. It doesn't have to be the same size as the container. This is strictly to just support the insect netting while your plants are growing up and getting established. And then once they get a normal size, bigger than what the squirrels even are interested in, you can take it off. But you get the grow through. You get the insect netting, which actually is 6 by 6, 6.5 by 6.5, I think. Drape it over, and then we have this. We love this flexi tie. This is a stretchy rubber string that actually holds a knot, y'all. Look at this. It holds a blooming knot, which it'll hold a bow. We literally just put it around the waist of the container and tie it. And this particular one was double covered for some reason, but with the single cover, it gets plenty of light and it keeps the varmints from destroying your container. I just can't even tell you how frustrating that is. So friends, that's kind of what's happening around here. I'm starting veggies. We are gearing up for the best season. Our cool flower garden looks better this year. We are attributing it to the deep cold that we've had. And so I am going to look at, I see that there's some questions over there. I just want to remind everybody that I do a live gardening show several times a week. I'll do one at 8 o'clock tonight, running through many of the same things that I've just talked about. But we have a big show on Friday. On Fridays, we do a giveaway. We have the bouquet studio with my sister Suzanne, always doing something with flowers, whether we really have flowers or not. And it's just a lot of fun. We have special shipping rates in there. There's specials each weekend. We call them the deals of the day. It's a lot of fun. The app is free. You just go to your phone's app store and search Gardener's Workshop and download the Shop app. I have 2 apps. You want the Shop app. And that's where you'll find us. You can watch replays in there. And it's a lot of fun. It's just a lot of demonstrating of what we use and how we actually use it. So let's see if you guys have any questions over here. Hello, everybody. When hardening off seedlings that are 3/4-inch soil blocks for planting out in the garden, how do you keep the soil blocks from drying out quickly when set out for hours in outdoor conditions? That's a great question, Autumn. So I do the very same thing. I mean, I start almost exclusively in the 3/4-inch block. And we set them out. I mean, they're out there 24/7 once they go out there. And I water thoroughly in the morning. And what I mean by that is when I water, I always put a little bit more water than I think they're actually going to absorb. So that after I water all the trays, I go back to the first tray and put my eyeball on it. And it's like, oh, there's no water left in that tray. I wonder if maybe you need more, because the illusion that happens is the blocks around the edges will get thoroughly watered, but frequently the ones in the middle have not. So that's my first step. So that if they suck up all the water, I'll put a smidgen more. But if I come back and there's water still there, I know that they've been wet. You know, you've waited 2 to 5 minutes and you just dump it off. And so my hardening off area, I made a point of creating my carport where I put my soil blocks has a low wooden fence around it. And that was to block the constant steady wind. It still gets some wind. So that really helps that. And they're also protected from high noon straight up sun. They get morning sun, protected in the high day, and they get afternoon sun where the sun comes in on both ends of my carport. So that's how we do it. I don't have to water but one time a day. And I mean, I don't know where you are, but we get hotter than blue blitz in here. And I have never had to water a second time because I make sure that I have thoroughly wet all of the blocks. And also, if your plants get too big, that can be a problem. So then those just need to be planted, right? How long do you keep your snapdragons in 3/4 inch blocks prior to planting outside? So Lori, we start snapdragons and typically it's 4 to 5 weeks. So we plant them in the fall here where I am, following the cool flower concept. And I start them typically 4 weeks before in the small block. Do you have any tips for germinating and growing clustered bellflower? I'm not sure I even know what that is. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't know what that is. So I don't have any tips for that. Ideas on why the baby leaves on my newly sprouted statice and crest seedlings are turning purple and drying out in my soil blocks. So when leaves start turning colors, that can mean a deficiency. And I would literally take a picture of a seedling. And, you know, I don't know where you are, but this is where you can really reach out to your local extension office. Oftentimes there's master gardeners down there just waiting for your question. But also there are so many apps now. You can take a picture of a struggling plant that has symptoms like that, like a color on it that's not supposed to be there, and you can get a diagnosis. But frequently that's a nutrition issue. And if they're drying out, I don't know what your soil, I would look at my soil blocking mix. I typically, status definitely can turn purple. Is that what you said? Yes, they're turning purple. And I believe that is a phosphorus problem that'll correct itself out in the garden. But you need to look at what is your soil mix, your blocking mix that you're using, and are you fertilizing weekly? But they will grow through that. The drying out part of your soil blocks, I would look at what your ingredients are. I am not a fan of cocoa fiber. That is an alternative to peat moss for people that don't want to use peat moss. But I find that peat moss has a very different moisture holding capacity. And so those are the things that I would actually look like. Dave Dowling mentioned it as one of his favorite perennials in one of your shows. So you mean Campanula champion bellflowers, perhaps. And so, oh yeah, that's a beauty, I believe, if that's what you're talking about. There's Dave and I have done so many shows together. And so if it was a perennial that he was talking about, perennials in general can be more difficult to germinate. So you need to specifically have the botanical name, and you need to enter that into a search engine and put germinating information. Sometimes the seed hybridizers has culture sheets that'll give you very specific instructions, but oftentimes perennials, just like some biennials, need special treatment before they will actually germinate. And no, I rarely, if ever, grow perennials. So I can't answer that, but that's what I would do to get that information. And thanks for asking that. So friends, I'm going to wrap it up. Thanks for joining me here tonight. And remember that Friday is the big show, 12 noon. I do a giveaway. Would love for you to be there. We have a lot of fun every darn week. It's me, my sister, a couple others. And it's just all about gardening, and it's just really fun. All right, my friends, thanks for joining me here tonight. And give me a follow and subscribe if you don't want to miss any of my content. And that helps so much. And I appreciate you hanging with me tonight. All right, friends, party on because it's spring. Ciao.